So, good morning, everyone. This is our course, Principles of E-commerce. And last week we have been talking about the first chapter of this course. And we haven't finished everything, so I will continue from the point we stopped last time. And I will try to be a little bit faster because the second chapter is the same. It's there are so many slides for the second chapter. The PPT is prepared in a very detailed way. So I hope it's easy for you to read and understand. So it's not necessary for me to mention every detail from the PPT, but I will just talk about the main issues in each slides. Okay, so I will just go through some main pointers from the last chapter we have talked about last week. So today I have a work home with me, so I will try to, I can write on the screen. So last week we stopped here on network effects, and I will just, as I've said, I will mention the main points in each slide so that you can read the rest and understand. Okay, so I will be talking about only those topics that I find very necessary. Okay, because the others you can easily read and understand, and if not, you can just ask me through the portal so that we can discuss it further. Okay, so we stopped here. We were talking about network effects. So if you, some of you who have studied economics might know this, there is a law called law of diminishing returns. And it means that when you consume something a lot, your interest will go down, okay? Or your consumption interests will diminish, okay? For example, you can eat with a very good mood, you can eat one hamburger and maybe two, but when you increase the volume or when you eat more, then your interest of eating additional hamburger will diminish or decrease, okay? So it's like the first banana you eat and the 10th banana you eat will give you different satisfaction, okay? The first one will give you more satisfaction than the 10th or the 9th one, because as you eat, then your interest of consuming this banana will go on diminishing and diminishing, okay? But that is not true for e-commerce, or that's not true in technology, right? For example, we open a Facebook account when most of our users are on Facebook, right? So when there are more users of a website, there will be more value to the website, okay? So as more people or more organizations get involved in this website, the value of the website increases. Because that is why we say this network effect goes in opposite to the law of diminishing returns. Okay, so network effect means activities or what you do on a web yields less value, more value, as there are more people involved in these activities, okay? But the law of diminishing return says that activities yield less value as consumption amount increases, okay? But that is not true for the network effect. So we can say network effect is an exception to the diminishing return law, okay? So when more people or organization participate in a network, the value of the network of each to each participant increases, okay? For example, I'll give you another example. You can take eBay, okay? eBay is an auction website, okay? So eBay is famous because there are so many people that use eBay, okay? And so if you want an auction, you post your auction on eBay because there are so many people who are using eBay. Okay, so the value of network increases when there are many people or many organizations participated in this network. Okay, so that is a network effect. Then it's the same is true for email, right? So most of us have Gmail, for example, because so many people use Gmail. Okay, so email account, for example, provides access to network of people with email accounts, and if email account is part of smaller network, then email is generally less valuable. But if email account is part of the bigger network, then the email will be more valuable. Okay, so you can see that nowadays people don't use Yahoo as their email website. Okay, because so many people are using Gmail. Okay, so the same is true for email accounts in on the web. Okay. So the other thing is to talk about in this chapter is identifying electronic commerce opportunities. So this is just easy to read. So I'll just talk about value chain here. So value chain means the chain that starts with the design of a product, okay, production of a product, okay, selling of this product to market, and also after sale service. So value chain is a chain of activities that are involved from inception of idea of producing a product to delivery and after sale service of a product. Okay, so this whole chain is called a value chain. Okay, so in a value chain, there are supportive and primary activities. So primary activities are activities that are directly related with the production of the product or service. Okay, so for example, if you take Swan University, in Swan University, there are professors, right? And there are departments. But there is also an accounting department, a human resource department in the administration. Okay? So who are the people or which parts of this value chain are directly related with production of a goods or service in Swan University? It is the departments and the professors, right? Because the main objective of the university is to educate students. Okay, that is the service that is offered by Swan University. So the primary activity is done by the departments and the professors. But these departments and professors are working very well because of supporting activities, because of the human resource department, because it is the human resource department that hires the employees, right? And it is because of the accounting department paying the staffs, okay? So this both activities should be supported by IT, so in e-commerce. So our point here is not to discuss about in detail about supporting and primary activities, but when we are thinking of employing e-commerce in our company or in our business, then we have to identify which of the activities in our business are supporting activities and which are primary activities. Okay, so after we identify that, then we will try to address or we'll try to find ways how we can support these activities through ICT, right? So bear in mind that supporting activities are activities that are not directly related to production of goods and services, but primary activities are activities that are directly related to production of goods and services. Okay. So this is what it talks about. Okay, finance and administration, human resource, technology development. These are supporting activities because they are not directly related to production of goods and services. Okay. Then this also talks us about the same thing. So these are the primary activities here. They are the primary activities because they primarily talk about the production of good or service, okay? You have the design here, you have manufacturing, you have delivery, market and sale. So these are directly related to the product or service that we are offering. But here, finance, okay? We have finance and administration. So this human resource and tech, these are not directly related to the production of the products or goods and services, but they support. So they have a very big contribution, but we have to identify what are the supporting and what are the primary activities in our business, okay? So this is the value chain, okay? Because it starts with acquiring raw materials here, producing, and finally disposing this product. So all this shows the industry value chain for strategic business unit. Okay, so as I've said, it starts with inception to delivery and also after delivery of the product. Okay, and the other thing here is the SWOT analysis. So most of you, I guess, are familiar with what is a SWOT analysis. So we have strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So we have to we have to identify this, okay? So when we start a business, then we have to identify what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, what opportunities are there, okay, for our business, what traits are there. For example, if you are opening a small business, let's say a clothing industry, if you're planning to open a clothing industry, for example, one big trait would be there are very big brands, and this brands will be a big competition for you. So this is a trait. So in a SWOT analysis, you don't just identify this strengths, weakness, approaches, and trait and leave them there, okay? What you do is you identify this, then you prepare a strategy how to address these issues, okay? So for example, as I've said, if you are planning to open a business, a small business that is a clothing industry, and you identify your trade as this big brand companies, then how can you tackle this competition? Okay, so you have to find ways. What are the opportunities? Okay, so for example, it is easy for small businesses to advertise their products. Okay, when I say big companies are a threat to small businesses, it doesn't mean that small businesses are not threat to large businesses, okay? Small businesses are also a threat to big businesses, okay? Because nowadays it is easy for small businesses to introduce their products or services to their customers easily, okay? So the reachability to their customers is easy because of social network sites. So once these small businesses gain popularity in these social medias, then they can easily take over the big ones. Okay, so small businesses are also big threats for the big companies, okay, or the big names. So first we have to look into our business unit, identify our weaknesses and strengths, then review the operating environment and identify the opportunities and threats, and take advantage of the opportunities, okay? So if you identify, I have this, and these opportunities, then you try to take advantage of these opportunities. And as I've said, you have to avoid the threats, okay? And compensate for the weaknesses. So this is the SWOT analysis questions. So this, you ask these questions, for example, what are competitors doing well and what are things I'm not doing well, okay? What problems could be avoided, okay? What does a company, what a company does very well. So you identify this and you prepare your plan to solve these issues, okay? Let's continue. And the other is international nature of electronic commerce. So here, in the second chapter, I'll talk about what is internet and what's a network, but just let's mention that internet is a network of networks, okay? our internet is a worldwide network of computers, right? So when companies use web to improve business processes, they automatically operate in a global environment, okay? Because once you have a website, then every customer or every business partner can check your business online, okay? So the trend is, as we've already mentioned in our introduction, then electronic commerce is becoming something that every business should be involved in, because it is easy to reach your customers, and it becomes a necessity, right? Because customers, before they visit your shop, they usually check some information about your company on the web, and after they make sure it's very good or something, then they come and visit, okay? So you can say electronic commerce is increasing, okay? Last time we have mentioned that it used to be the United States that has a big share of users of electronic commerce, but now China has taken over this role. So because this data is actually from 2010, but in 2020, now number one is China and number two is the US. Okay, so last week we have talked about why China is leading in electronic commerce. So we have said the growth or the development in China plus the number of internet users, or you can say the penetration of internet users has contributed a lot in for China to have so many people involved in electronic commerce. Okay. Then this is the last thing I will talk about. So the slides that follow this are just an explanation of each of these key international commerce issues. So I would like you to read the detail about these issues. Okay. So what are these key international commerce issues? So these issues should be addressed when a business is involved in electronic commerce. So one is trust. So last week we have mentioned that one of the big traits for electronic commerce to flourish is the trust, because people fear that their personal information, including the credit card numbers, will be lost once they go online. So they do not trust the internet, and they are not sure whether this their bank information will be protected by these companies. Okay, so but now, as we have mentioned last week also, businesses are having a very high security. Okay, so as I've mentioned, so here is the buyer and here is, let's say, the seller, and the security issue is handled by another third-party company. Okay, so we all have digital certificates, you know that, right? So if you are involved in mobile banking or internet banking, you know that we have digital certificates that help us identify our identity. So when a buyer visits the website of the seller and wants to buy a product from the seller, then they have to pay first, right? So when they pay, they enter their credit card or debit card information. So that information will be secured by this third-party security agents. Okay, so there are different levels of security. So we have encryption, which is a little bit old, but we have public encryption, we have digital certificates, we have so many different means of securing data. So businesses now are building this trust, and now people are not worried about buying products online. But it was, or it used to be, a big challenge for electronic commerce companies. Okay, the other is culture. So culture is very important. You have to understand. So when you are involved in electronic commerce, now you are available online, as we have said, and you are available worldwide. So when you are available worldwide, then you have to understand, or you have to take care of your customers worldwide. Okay, for example, if you open Microsoft company's website in Korea, then it will ask you, right? Do you want this website to be displayed in Korean or in English? Okay, because you can know when a website is opened, then the website can know where this access is generated from. Okay, so they ask which language do you want me to display the website, Korean or English or other. Okay, then you choose your language. Then, you know, according to your interest, the website is designed. So it is not of, it's ready not to offend, or the website is prepared not to offend anybody. Okay, so you have to know what is not good, or what is considered bad in Korea, and what is considered bad in the US, what's considered bad in Africa, what's considered bad in Europe. Okay, so you have to know the cultural background of the people located in different parts of the world. Okay, because if your website is designed in a way that offends or that goes against the culture of these people, then these people might not use your website. Okay, so you have to know the culture, so it's very important. Okay, the other is language. So as I've said, the website has to ask for language of preference from their customers, and once you choose the language, then they have to display accordingly. Okay, so culture means language plus customs, right? That's what is a culture, language plus customs of this people, or norms of this people. Okay, so we have to take care of that. The other is the government. So issues of the government and how the government treats this online or e-commerce websites, you have to know that. Okay, because you might end up in an argument with the government bodies if your website is not fulfilling all the requirements of the government of these websites that operate within the territory of a country. Okay, and the other is infrastructures has to be provided so that it's easy for you to reach your potential customers. Okay, so these are a very key issues in international commerce, and you have to find ways to address these issues. Okay, so as I've said, the following slides are just explanation of each of the issues that we have mentioned above. So I want you to go through this and read it by yourself. Okay, so this is from our last chapter, chapter 1, and I want to continue with chapter 2. Okay, so if you have any questions from chapter 1, please write your questions and send me through portal or email so that we can discuss further. So, and also we have discussion forums on our portal. So if you have questions, post them on discussion forum so that me and other fellow or your friends, students can argue or can just talk about these issues in the discussion forum. Okay, so just post any question you have on discussion forum so that we all participate in the discussion. Okay, so it will help us improve our knowledge. Okay, so let me exit from this one, and I will share you the next chapter. Okay, so this is our second chapter. In second chapter, we talk about e-business technology basics or infrastructures in e-business, or what infrastructures are very important that we have to use in electronic commerce. Okay, so In this, there are about so we have objectives that we have to address in this chapter. So the first objective is to learn about the origin, growth, and the current structure of the internet. So this is more history. So it consumes a lot of our time. But what I will do is I will just mention the big events, starting from the origin, the growth, and the current status, so that the rest you can read and understand. So because it's very simple, just the history, right? So the second objective is how packet switch networks are combined to form the internet. The other thing I would like to mention here is this chapter is a little bit very technical. So um, I want you to relax, because my objective here is um, to talk about how this technology works. Okay, so don't worry about the technical issues. Okay, as we have said in our first chapter, our objective here is to know the background, or how the technology works at the background. So packet switching, circuit switching, okay, these are specifically networking terms, but we will talk about what are these, how packet switch networks are combined to form the internet. And the other objective is how internet, email, and web protocols work. So protocols are the rules of communication. Okay, you all write HTTP, sometimes S, then like this. Okay, www.yahoo.com, something like that. So this part is called a protocol. So that is hypertext transfer protocol secured. Okay. So protocols are a rule of communication. We'll talk about what these rules of communication are about. Okay. And the other objective we have is about internet addressing and how web domain names are constructed. So I think everybody knows the computers have IP addresses, or what we call internet protocol address. Okay, so how this internet protocol address are assigned to our computers on the internet. Okay, and how do we construct our domain names? Okay, domain name means you have suwon.ac.kr. This is one university website. So Suwon is the domain. Okay, so the domain name here is Suwon. Right? So how can we construct our domain names? We'll talk about that. And the other objectives we have is about the history and use of markup language on the web. Okay, so there are what we call hypertext markup language, that's HTML. And as you know, websites are developed using markup language, right? So we have HTML, we have XML, and we have tags. Tags are the codes that we use to write HTML codes. Okay, so HTML codes are used to build the website. Okay, you build the website using HTML codes, and these codes have tags and links that you use to develop the website. Okay, so I will just talk about some introductory things about so those of you who are familiar with with programming might find this chapter a little bit easy. Okay, about technologies people and businesses use to connect the internet to the internet, and about the internet 2.0 and the semantic web. Okay, so we have this web 1.0 web. Now we are on 2.0. Then there is web 3.0. Okay, same thing. We have internet, or this is by default web is web 1.0, right? So we have web 2.0. We have internet 2.0, okay, or internet 2. So this is by default 1.0, right? So we'll talk about what is this Internet 2.0 and what is Web 2.0, okay? So the difference is because previously in Internet and in web, we just view homepages or websites of businesses. But now we can create our own content to the Internet, okay? So that content creation of the user is called the second generation of web, okay? So that is what we will talk about, okay? So let's start with the internet and the World Wide Web, or this is simply called a web, right? The World Wide Web, or just a web. And what is a network and what is the internet? And what's the difference between internet with I capital and internet with I small? Okay, these two are different. So when we say network, it is just a connection of two or more computers. It could be via wire or wireless connection to share resources, okay? So a network is, to say there is a network, there has to be at least two computers, right? Because two computers are connected, then there is a network. But two or more computers connected through wire, because you can connect through twisted pair cable, or you can use wireless, okay? So through wire or wireless, and the objective of creating or of having a network is what? Sharing resources. So when we say sharing resources, sharing hardware and sharing a software, okay? So sharing a software means you share files, okay? You share documents, okay? And you also share hardware. You can share a CD-ROM, you can share, okay? You can share CD-ROM is a hardware. So if your computer CD-ROM or CD player is not working, you can share the CD player of another computer and you can play videos on your computer, okay? So computer network is a connection of two or more computers through wire or wireless connection to share resources. And resources, by resources we mean to share both hardware and software, okay? So if that is a network, then what is internet? So the global computer network, or when computers in the world are connected, then we call that an internet, okay? That is with capital I, okay? But a group of interconnected computer networks could also be called internet, okay? Because if you have heard of this, we have intranet and we have extranet. Okay, we will talk about this around the end of this chapter. So connection of computers in Suwan, connection of computers in Seoul, connection of computers in Daegu together could also be considered internet, but internet with small I, okay? So whenever you want to refer to the global network of computers, then you have to use capital I, even within sentences, okay? So even between sentence, or when you writing a sentence and you would like to mention global network, then you have to use capital I, not small I, okay? So the basic technology structure of this commerce consists of, or the internet consists of supporting networks, the internet, and the e-commerce, okay? So WWW, or World Wide Web, is just a subset of internet computers, or it's just a subset of global network, and it includes easy to use interfaces. So World Wide Web is a web, right? So this web is within the internet. So when we say a web, for example, you go to Google, right? And you, for example, you want to Google what is a computer, okay? So let's say you wrote this on Google. So where do you think are the results coming from? Okay, so if you write what is a computer on Google search, then you will find, let's say, 10 million results. Okay, where do you think are these results coming from? These results are coming from computers in Korea, computers in the US, computer in Europe, computer in Africa, everywhere in this world, okay? Those people who have wrote anything about computers or what computers are is displayed on your computer now. So that's why we call it a web, because it fetches information from different computers on the world and it displays on our computer, okay? So I'll just stop here and we will continue after 10 minutes, okay? So I'll give you a break for 10 minutes and we will continue, okay? I will be back after 10 minutes.